Welcome back. You're now watching the political segment on The Weekend Show. My name is Andy Madaki. In 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari came in with a change agenda, and this was at a time when Nigerians were frustrated at the high level of corruption and insecurity in the country. He had 8 years of being in power. How well did we fare? And then President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came after an election where Nigerians had several interests, and he came with the renewed hope agenda. On his inauguration day, a major statement was made that fuel subsidies have been removed. After that, the naira was being floated. How has this affected the people? Some people at that point argued that it was too soon and it was a rash decision. What we have seen is that the naira has constantly been devalued since the 29th of May 2023. Inflation has gone constantly high. Now, the standard of living for Nigerians, which is the real feel of people in the streets, in the villages, and in the houses, has greatly changed and has been impacted. As of yesterday, even though the CBN has said there's no more BDC, the banks should handle dollar transactions and FX, the naira to the dollar went as high as 1,610 naira. This is going from 750 and from 420 at some point. The naira to the pound has gone as high as 1,910 naira. Customs in the last 1 month has increased the value for import duty 3 times in the last 1 month. The impact of this is that it trickles down to the poorest of the poor. An egg, which cost 50 naira a year ago, now costs 300 naira. Spaghetti, which cost 80 naira at some point and 250, is now upwards of 850 naira. This is the reality, regardless of the party which you have. To fuel your car, a full tank of fuel is nothing less than 30,000 naira. Minimum wage remains at 30,000 naira. So when you see Nigerians complain of the fact that there's a committee to discuss minimum wage and they're being appropriated 500 million naira for that committee, it's not because people hate the government. It's because we are saying that how does this trickle down to the masses? And that's what we'll be having a conversation about. We have guests joining us online, and so we'll start with our guests for today.
We have Ayo Olorunfemi, who is the Deputy National Chairman, Labour Party. Hello, Ayo. Good morning, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
We'll start with Ayo. Ayo, you've heard my opening comments. Labour Party was a serious contender in the last election. Yes, we have other news around the Labour Party, which we'll talk about at some point. But one of the things which the Labour Party offered was more local production and a better economy for the people. Now, the APC has won the election, and you are one of the major opposition parties in the country. What's your overview of the current state of the economy vis-a-vis the standard of living or the cost of living in the country at the moment?
Thank you very much. I listened carefully with your introduction and very apt. But we cannot dwell on anything without referring to history, how we got to where we are today. You recall way back before pre-1979, a coup brought General Olusegun Obasanjo, and at that time he never participated in the coup, but he became the head of state, and they said it was never his will. Then he made all the necessary arrangements possible to return power to elected president Shagari and behold, the Second Republic. That government, if you recall, while you are graduating from the university, even before you graduate from the university, organizations will come to you and request from you whether you want to work with them or not. So you choose and pick the type of career you want to choose in life, even before you graduated from the university. Now that was going on, and of course, once you secure a job, a car is already waiting for you. You get your accommodation almost immediately, and within 6 months you get a car, and you begin to live your life. You get married, and you continue to live your life. That was going on until 1983, when Shagari introduced what he called austerity measure, just a kind of economic policy to engage in local production, reduce importation and all of that. And you recall, Buhari capitalized on it and took over power by force. As a matter of fact, somebody died in the process. And you know what happened between 1983 and 85. The economy of the country nosedived, somersaulted completely. Then another military coup took place under Babangida with a view, according to them, to salvage the country because the country was tripping down to the abyss. And Babangida engaged in some economic policy, structural adjustment policy, and that went on under the supervision of the then Olu Falai, and well, it has its own criticisms and opposition here and there. But to return back to democracy, we knew what happened, and the struggle continued. We fought, and we brought this democracy in 1999. Before we got into this 1999, the country was terribly, terribly down. To feed, to have your 3 square meal was difficult. To travel from one point to another was very difficult. And that was what ushered in Obasanjo. And when Obasanjo came, like the same person that put Nigeria in the right path in 1979, he started again in 1999 and was able to lay a very good foundation for the economy. The blueprint he used, well, I don't know where he got it from, but he said he gathered a group of economic team that put the country in a very strong economic platform. And you recall, during that period, employment generation started coming up. People who were getting engaged, teachers were buying Tokumbo vehicles, civil servants were building houses without stealing, without bribe. You know, facilities were being given to average civil servants once were employed, just like in the just like in the 1979 days. People can go to bank and ask the bank to get a car for you. In fact, it was being advertised. You want to buy Kia Picanto, bank will advertise, as long as you are working somewhere, you get your car. Tier leader came. It became the issue of tier leader and all of that. You know, people who are living fine, at least to minimum standard. If you don't have a job, you can even you can be fetching water, and from water you buy truck, Okada, and begin to do Okada. From Okada you buy bus. You know, the way you move was can be determined by you as long as you are not lazy. Then Yaradua came, and his ill health created some problem, and there was what I call stagnancy, a period of interregnum, so to speak, before Jonathan came. And Jonathan, coming from minority, received a lot of criticisms, opposition here and there. And behold, the politician introduced insecurity into the system, you know, and started happening in the country. And here we are, banditry all over the place. And so if you want to ask me, I will tell you, if you say things are bad now, don't look at now, look at how we got to where we are. And like I used to say, when you have 100 people living in a community, and 20 people are terribly bad, wicked, and nobody is checking those wicked people, and you celebrate those wicked people, there's a tendency that gradually, incrementally, they will become 40, and from 40 they can become 50, and before you know it, everybody will become wicked in that community because nobody is checking. That is exactly what is happening in Nigeria today. Our value system have been degraded completely, and those things that we call success are not success in those days. In fact, if you pass through that path to become anything in those days, you become a stigma in the society. But today, those things that were stigmatized in those days are what we are celebrating today. So I'm not surprised that we find ourselves in the situation we find ourselves. You all witnessed the last election, even when it became obvious that this is the procedure and process that we are supposed to follow. Even when circulars were issued by INEC, to the effect that we are going to transmit this result real time, online real time. They didn't do so. And what did the court do? They supported them. So a country where your circulars, your regulations doesn't mean anything, what do you think will happen to the population? Everybody will go go his own way, to your tent, go Israel. That is exactly what is happening. If you cannot beat them, you join them. And that is what is happening in the country, that nobody is cooperating. The institutional framework that has been put in place are not working. No law is working in Nigeria. Everybody is just on their own. And that is foolishness. That is foolishness. The president came in at the point of inauguration without due process, announced the removal of fuel subsidy simply because some people are stealing the subsidy. Do you say because people are stealing your food, then you throw the food away? You look for those who are stealing the food, deal with those who are stealing the food, protect the people that the foods are meant for. Instead, you remove the food from the public, and you now turn it to an advantage of the few. Now in Nigeria, about maybe less than 500 people are the ones smiling to the bank, and the remaining 299,500,000 people are the ones laboring for these ones. So,
okay.
The history that was given by Ayo was quite insightful, all the way back to now, everything that led up to where we are today. I just wish you could, talk more on the factors that have attributed, all the compounding factors to what we are dealing with right now. But we have another guest in the studio, Fatai Adesokan, who is a public affairs analyst. Good morning, and thank you for coming back on the show.
Thanks for having me. Good morning, Nigerians across the globe.
Yes. Could you answer the question I was expecting him to answer, factors that have attributed to where we are right now in regards to inflation, particularly food prices and the cost of living?
Of course, thank you very much. And the factors are not far-fetched. Deliberate complacency and negligence of leadership over the years. I got the economic graphic picture he painted right from the 1977 when Obasanjo took over. Then we had Shagari government, austerity. Then we had Babangida regime, Buhari, Babangida regime, Abacha, Yar'Adua, and what have you. But the bottom line here is the way they are getting it wrong is the burden being pushed over to Nigerians. So none of us were actually in government. At least you and I and him were not in government, and we're not part of those that looted the treasury. We've seen a couple of guys here and there being charged to court by EFCC, ICPC. No serious country does that. How can you have a country with crude and you're refining your crude in the last 30 years overseas? It doesn't make any economic sense. It's just like we are in the studio here. For the fact that our chairman is from Agenebode in Edo State, you are now taking your yam from Abuja to Agenebode to get your yam being pounded. You're now bringing that same pounded yam from Agenebode in Edo State to Abuja. It doesn't make any economic sense. You have our crude here that you are now refining overseas. And Obasanjo tried to actually stop that while he was leaving at the twilight of the administration. But the government that came in, Yaradua government, suspected sort of dealings there. He actually cancelled the sale of refineries being sold to Blue Consortium, Dangote and Femi Otodola, a kind of blue consortium they had. But I believe, since we know this petroleum of it is central to our economy, a serious government or a serious leadership in a given country ought to have done the need over the years. That aside, insecurity has actually affected farmers being on the farm, herders, farmers clash. This has been on for a very long time ago. Look at what is happening in Plateau. All of a sudden, people were wiped off from their villages and nothing occurred. We moved on as if nothing happened. In Benue State, for good 3-4 years, killings here and there. The Jukuns are there in Taraba. So kidnapping, you see, these things did not happen overnight. It was actually as a result of what has been happening. And governments, successive governments, closed up their eyes. But unfortunately, without making excuses for this present government, they too came without any proper concept. If you had any concept on ground, 8 months is enough to see the sense of renewed hope. I actually wanted this government to come into being. I supported the government. But I'm being disappointed. Because if you're in 100 level in a university or you're an ND1, you must write your 4 semester exams. Then you have sense of hope that in the next 3 or 4 years, you'll be leaving this campus. But you are in a university, no 4 semester exam, not even talking about 2nd semester exam. That means there is no renewed hope of when you are leaving that university. So we are not saying President Tinubu or his regime should come and solve Nigerian problems within 8 months. No, there is no sense of hope that these things, we are going to get this thing solved in the next couple of months. We are all talking about Lee Kuan Yew. Yes, it took him time, but there was sense of hope anchored in Singapore that, in the next 5 years. But we are not planning. We are not planning.
Well, I don't think Nigerians expect this government to change things miraculously in 8 months, but it's quite unfortunate that things have actually changed for the worse.
It would.
In Andy's intro for this segment, he stated that as at May last year, 2023,
Egg.
not even the egg, as the dollar. Let's speak on the dollar because we import a lot in this country. It was at about 700 and something naira, and right now, in fact, as at yesterday, you said 1.7, it's actually 1.8. While the pound got to as at 11 p.m. last night, the pound got to 2,000 naira.
No.
So yes, from a little over 700 naira to 1.8 right now in 8 months, change has happened, but for the worse. And you said you supported the government without, and they didn't have concrete plans, according to what you said. So I don't know why you or people that supported a government that didn't have concrete plans, and now you're turning around to say they didn't do what you expected them to do.
Course.
They are humans, yes, I understand that.
When we're in the partisanship arena, you have to, you must support a candidate. And,
yes.
You actually, and I must have casted my vote for a particular party and the candidate. And that is my civic responsibility.
100%.
And that has been achieved. And if that government now come into being, we want to be seeing it is to offer leadership. Essence of government in the Greek Empire is to offer leadership. Provide succor for the people, engaging the people, the communities. But the reverse is the case. The IMF English policy, so to speak, that the CBN governor, I'm being particular here, that they are implementing, it is not homegrown economic solution for Nigerian problem. I was born in this country. I was born and brought up in Lagos. And I understand Nigeria very well. You don't need to come and blow grammar to us, either at the Senate chamber or in your office. There is homegrown local economy you can grow that will affect Nigerians positively. You cannot float the naira while you have removed subsidy. You floated the naira, and the naira is now balancing on its own. How can government answer? It's just like you sent your kids to school, they are done in school. Then you say you answer on their lives. You are not talking about their marriages, not about any other thing. They will come back home and bring criminality to your doorstep. That's the truth. So government cannot just answer. So what is the responsibility of government? Just tell me. If a government answers in subsidy regime, of which the same government, the same leadership, failed to provide functional refinery, of which we have this crude in abundance. So it is not Fatah Adeshokon. It is not Handru. It is not AIT. that actually got this refinery spoiled over the years. It's not even tenable anywhere in the world that as giant as we claimed that we continue to live on ad hoc economic arrangements. So if you know that this naira when they came in, it was 750 parallel market, bank rate 400. Nigerians, we are not asking for too much. We can always wait to get. We've always waited all our years. The Nigerian problem has always been there, right from primary school days. In 1994, I was crying as a young boy in Lagos at Lazy, very close to Ikeja. We were on the queue to buy DPK kerosene. That was the era we turned to a Abacha stove. I was at the filling station. I will not mention the filling station because of advertorial. I was from morning 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. A young boy of barely 12 years old. Look at the agony my country actually subjected me to. 12 years old, 1994. Calculate it. I'm still an adult battling with the same record.
30 years later.
How do you want to go? Just go to your neighborhood, get a gas. How much is kg for gas? So the same problem when I was 12 years, it's still the same. It tells you that Nigerian leadership over the years, beyond present regime, they've been failure all along. That's the truth. But we all hoped with the mantra of renewed hope that things will change for better. This was somebody we knew in Lagos as Lagos State Governor. It's beyond ethnicity, it's beyond partisanship, nomenclature. It's what we are feeling. I know how much I spent to fuel my car. I came from Nigerian law school to Asokoro, and I'm going back to Nigerian law school. So what does that suggest to you? So it speaks volume, I speak mockery of democratic culture. You are all clamoring for democracy. Yes, democracy is here. So what is democracy giving us? There's no difference. So what we are saying is, Mr. President, I disagree with him. Vehemently disagree with him. You cannot tell us you don't want to import. Where is the abundance in town? In my hometown from Oyo State, Shaki is a border town. We buy rice, 60,000 now. In Ibadan, rice is now 70,000. In other places, now 75,000, a bag of rice. So, conversely, if you come and pay me a visit, I won't serve you any food. Because I've actually budgeted my bag of rice to serve me. I don't even have a bag of rice at home. I don't have it.
You know, and I've said this on this show, the last time I bought a 50 kg bag of rice was about 4 years ago. Now I buy 2.5 kg or maybe 5 kg till the next one. And for people who are following the news, oil marketers have reported that by Monday they may stop lifting
Yeah,
oil
the landing cost.
because it's costing them at least 1,000 naira
Yes.
to land a litre in Nigeria, and we're paying about 700.
So once they have the one in stock.
Which is a problem. The Dangote refinery, which was meant to go live, we don't think is going to go live till the end of the year. A huge percentage of our crude oil has already been signed in swap agreements.
Of course.
And so we can't make money from it because we are using it to fulfill for debts that have been incurred. Now, the CBN has come up with a lot of circulars recently to try to fix the problem. In some cases, so even yesterday, they've stopped paying PTA and BTA in money, doing it digitally. That may be good, but my problem is we've seen a constant increase in the FX. Like you said, they've hands off from that. I don't think that's a great decision.
Of course.
Because you still can't go to the bank and say, I want to buy dollars to purchase goods or items for my trade. So if it's not for health or school fees, which still gives the power to the BDCs. And so what it has done, you've doubled our problems. For prices, I can't remember buying a full tank of fuel in the last 1 year. I just say, today I'm going to spend 25K. And I'll use it today, I'm going to do whatever. And this is even speaking from a privileged position. And we can talk about this over and over and over. I'm not partisan, I don't care who is there. I just want Nigeria to work, and I want to be able to survive. With President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, remember that we used to export cocoa, rubber. Malaysia right now is the highest supplier of palm oil. I'm from Benue State, where we are suffering insecurity. We have a lot of palm oil in the north central, the middle belt zone. What are we doing about agricultural exports from Nigeria? So my question is, what should your president do to fix this problem? Give us 5 proactive steps which should be taken,
Of course,
because
the
there's no
immediate
hope
one,
inside.
I'm a solution-driven person.
Yes.
I don't like lamentation, but I'm getting frustrating that if people that were entrusted in leadership are not doing the needful, it's not rocket science. I'm not trying to play the devil advocate here. It doesn't cost the CBN governor anything to have actually preferred solutions to it if they actually think in a local way. You have these dollars. You know, these marketers import fuel, and our refinery are not functioning. That's the reality on ground. You can make these dollars available for these guys. You can pay on their behalf. So many of us, we don't give our puppies school fees. We pay to their school.
Yeah.
And all they need to just to go to school. My kids are in school. They don't pay their school fees. I paid. All they need to do is just get to the car and go to school. You can pay for these differences overseas. I mean CBN, on behalf of these marketers, to provide succor for Nigerians. You can't just answer because you created this problem. God has blessed our country. We have this crude. Then a particular government built refinery, and these refineries are not working. What has happened? They immediately, what I expected from this government to do, you identify the problems already. Then ad hoc solution that is more reflective in the economy. How much money do you want to be distributing? And we've seen the results. We've seen the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry. The minister has been alleged. Before she was suspended from office. How can a chief of staff allegedly develop a memo for 3 billion naira to fortify a register? So how much do you now want to distribute to people? Why are you even distributing money? Do you need to distribute money? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. We're empowered. That's why we're in the studio here. So you are not empowering the economy, distributing money. So in immediate solution, Mr. President should import food into the country, particularly rice. It's in Taiwan, it's over there. He was once a businessman with Taiwan country as a country when he was actually in overseas. Wole Soyinka told us at his colloquium. So Tinubu should resume that. With CBN, you can call on Andrew or Adeshokon or whoever. See, come and liaise with us. This is the dollar. Go, bring this rice. We can't continue. See, I don't want to be a kind of being a pessimist here. See, if you continue like this, the consequences will not be okay for us.
You say importation. Was it yesterday or
Yes.
before yesterday?
Yes.
The president, based on the hardship in the country, met with the 36 governors. And I want to mention something he stated on food security. He says, I will not establish a price control board, nor will I approve the importation of food. With the dollar rates and the economic situation, is importation really a solution?
You see, we have immediate problem at our hands here. And how did we get here is not a problem again. How can we get out of here? And that speaks us to that direction of getting importation. The president is very wrong. His Excellency President, but he's very, very wrong. Based on facts at his desk, he's very, very wrong. He wouldn't say so. And I'm going to write a letter to a memo that will get to his desk. What he said, it was wrong. We are in food crisis, for crying out loud. A bag of rice has skyrocketed in the last 2 weeks from 55,000 to 70,000 naira. And you are saying you are not importing. Where is the abundance in the country? Is it Zamfara you go to farm, or in Borno where we have insurgency, or in Benue? So I think they are not facing the reality
So if
on
it
ground.
deals with security, which enables farmers to go farm, would that help?
See,
Is that what you're saying?
you can't deal with security. You see, we want to eat now in the afternoon. Let me give you a kind of local economics.
Yeah.
We want to eat. We all know cooking beans it takes a while. Then you have to put the beans time enough on fire so that we can eat by the time we close the program. So, but beans will take a while. Then you now say, okay, by 2 o'clock, going back to farm, it's not something that will be immediate. If you plant any seed today, it's not going to germinate tomorrow morning. But importing from overseas, that will be a stopgap measure. At least in the next 6 months, there will be succor in the country. The bag of rice could crash to 40,000, 30,000 naira. The purchasing power will be restored to an extent. It does not cost the government anything. It's just like the government is just fumbling on what is not available. That's the truth. You are not going to constitute a price commodity. You are not going to import anything. Where is the abundance? Where is the farm in Abuja? Just tell me. Okay, you are releasing grains from reserve. Where are the grains?
Because
in
more
December
people are still going to hoard them.
Of course.
But this is inexhaustive, but you've given a solution which, and I've heard a lot of people say, allow this importation
Of
so
course.
that it's competitive and we don't have a monopoly. But because of time, I want to bring Ayo Olorufemi back online. Please give us your solutions in the next 1 minute. What do you think is the way forward? Yes, Labour Party is not in power, but what do you think should be done now as a solution? What are the solutions we need right now as a country to reduce economic hardship?
First is to provide leadership. Okay. Leadership by example. The president is traveling through the airport, and the people will have to wait for Mr. President to pass through the express, and they will have to be there.
Unfortunately, I think we're having technical difficulties with I. But like he has said, and he gave a solution, saying leadership, which I think you have also alluded to, that the president needs to proactively take some steps.
Manpower.
But I think you have your last question for Fatai before.
We have very intelligent people in leadership. In fact, our president is a very intelligent and strategic person. Would you say they don't know the solutions? Because I believe they do.
Yes, the president will not act alone, and he's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the NSA, the Ministry of Finance, and the CBN governor. The president actually issued statement based on the advice of his economic management team, which it was not something that is actually in reality. That's the truth. And the president cannot act outside his economic team. What he said was what the CBN governor actually assured him about. The reason I'm being particular about Cardoso, CBN governor, I'm not attacking his personality. I'm talking about what is he doing with his office. Because the CBN actually control the fiscal policy, monetary policy, and look at rising inflation in town. So the CBN can intervene. How would they intervene? Importation. You just make things available. In the last 1 month, like rightly posited, custom duty has increased. You can't do mistake and sell your car now. You can't afford to buy any other car again. I bought a car 4 years ago for 2.1 million. As used as the car is, and if I want to resell, I will sell for 3.5 now because of the value in the market. The car is now almost 6 million naira now. So is that a country? That's not a country.
Fatai, I think that's a good place to leave it. We'll bring you back here within the next 2 weeks. Let's continue this conversation because it's an extensive conversation, especially because the CBN has their MPC meeting by 26-27. Yes. So let's see if there will be any changes.
If there will not be labor strike.
If there wouldn't. But because of time, that's the much we can take on the political segment. We still have a lot more for you on today's show. Don't go away. We'll see you shortly after this break.